do want to lead off the show, honestly, on a much more serious note, because as we know, guys, despite the fact that George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery's deaths garnered so much attention, beyond attention, it garnered actual movement. 2020 is really something that we have not seen really in our lifetime as large and as impactful and as widespread as it were, where people were in the streets by the millions, right? And it did not stop the pigs from killing Black people. Remember when George Floyd's verdict was read, or rather the verdict against Derek Chauvin for killing George Floyd, that's when Ma'Khia Bryant was killed in Ohio. That's when the young brother was killed in North Carolina. So the cops do not take days off to stop killing Black people. Now, if you had been here with us on Tuesday's show, we showed you two fine and recent examples of law enforcement doing a bang-up job of addressing violent, armed white males, threatening violence, and one actually committing violence, right? And somehow both of them got taken into custody without injury, without being killed. That was not the case 2 nights ago for a young man in Washington, D.C. His name is Antoine Gilmore, 27 years old. I hope you have heard his name already, and I hope that you have seen some coverage about this on social media, because there are so many people killed around this country all the time by police. The names can get overwhelming, but it's so important that we don't forget and that we say their names. Okay. Hello, Anna Hart. Thank you so much for your support, darling. I just saw your super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, darling. Antoine, well, the way that he was killed was so absurd. I'm reluctant to even describe it for you in advance, because I have a package here from NBC Washington, and the reporter does a decent job of surmising the facts. But per usual, you hear the slant towards the police and the bringing out of Antoine's alleged criminal history, right? And when I hear these things juxtaposed with his murder, right, to me they sound like excuses as to why police took this young man's life. However, let me just tell you this. This is all information in terms of Antoine had an outstanding warrant and he was armed. But the police did not know anything about his outstanding warrant until after they killed him, right? So this is all information that was coming out after the fact. This was not known to officers in the moment. So they did not know necessarily who or what they were dealing with, beyond the fact that he was a sleeping man in a car and they saw a gun in his waistband. They did not see a gun in his hand. Excuse me. They did not see a gun sitting in the seat next to him. They saw a gun in his waistband and he was asleep. So, Tuna, could you put up Antoine's picture for me, please? Just so, okay, I'm sorry. Let's take a listen, guys, to this package from NBC Washington. The reporter's name is Paul Wagner. Like I said, I mean, he did an all right job of encapsulating the facts. But again, all media, local media, network affiliated media, American media across the board, by and large, are deferential to the police in all situations, especially when it's police versus a Black body. So today, let's take a look at this package from NBC4 here in DC.
And we have new video this afternoon that shows a D.C. police officer shooting and killing a man in Northeast Washington.
Yeah, that officer fired at a man who was sleeping inside a car along New York Avenue early yesterday morning. Now, investigators tell us the man had a gun in his waistband. The body camera video shows the car slightly lurch forward. Moments later, an officer fired multiple shots. You can see multiple angles of the shooting here, but none show a clear picture of what was happening inside the vehicle.
And here is another perspective, this from a nearby witness. You can see multiple officers surrounding the car and then suddenly disperse. News 4's Paul Wagner has the latest on this.
At 2:45 Wednesday morning, D.C. police get a call for a man asleep at the wheel of a car on New York Avenue at Florida Avenue Northeast. When officers arrive, they see the man at the wheel has a pistol on the right side of his waistband. His foot is on the brake and his left hand is on the wheel. Officers call for backup, get a shield, and attempt to wake him.
Move up closer. Move up. Where's the gun there? Where's the gun there? Should we knock?
For several minutes, the officers keep an eye on the man as an officer with the shield gets in position.
Hey, come closer. Put the light on his hand. Knock on the window.
Already?
Yeah, I see him.
Already now?
I see him. He ain't waking up.
Don't move!
Don't move! Don't move! Watch your hands! Watch your hands!
D.C. Police Chief Robert Conti says although it's against policy to fire into a moving car, the department does not yet have a statement from the officer who fired his weapon and do not know exactly what he saw.
It's very difficult to see from that officer's vantage point through the lens of the ballistic shield that he had deployed. It's very difficult to see what he saw at the point where he fired his weapon.
Chief Conti says the officer, who has more than 10 years' experience, fired 10 rounds. And when the car came to a rest after hitting a tree, the officers found the gun in the waistband of the man they've identified as Antoine Gilmore.
Firing out a moving vehicle is inconsistent with our policies. I would not draw any conclusions from the positioning of where the firearm was at the time it was recovered. But to your point, we do have a policy with respect to shooting at or from moving vehicles.
The shooting is drawing some strong reaction, to include a tweet from Ward 4 Councilmember Janice George, who said, "Sitting here trying to figure out how law enforcement can successfully de-escalate a white domestic terrorist in a truck threatening to blow up the Capitol with a bomb, but not a black man who fell asleep in his car." So far, News 4 has been unsuccessful in finding Antoine Gilmore's family. Police say he did not have a permit for the firearm and was wanted on an outstanding assault with a dangerous weapon charge in the district from last October. In the district, Paul Wagner, News 4.
Schultz 100 said, you said it, honey. And unfortunately, I have been drinking and I don't remember what you said that fast. But guys, this is absolutely something that did not necessarily have to happen, especially when you put it against the way here in this exact same city, probably about 7 or 8 days ago, that Floyd Ray Roseberry of North Carolina, who had went live on Facebook, gone on a white supremacist rant for hours upon hours, and drove his vehicle and parked it on federal territory, on federal grounds, and threatened to blow it up if Joe Biden didn't do X, Y, and Z. And Floyd is still being held right now in DC jail. They are actually making a lot of accommodations for Floyd, guys. They got Floyd on his medications. They are not exactly clear how they're going to charge Floyd, because they said that Floyd was off his meds and not necessarily in his right mind. And if you remember the clip that we played that Vishal Singh compiled of the U.S. Capitol Police Chief talking about Floyd, just lost his mama. And that's why we took 5 hours to say, it's okay, buddy. It's all right, buddy. It's okay, guy. Come on out when you get ready, Floyd. It's all right. But you see what happens to Antoine, who is asleep. And I don't understand. That's what you said, Schultz. You said, why are they so tense? That's my thought exactly. Why are these cops scary as fuck? Like, why y'all scary asses? If y'all gonna be scary asses, why the fuck are you police? If a man who is asleep in his car, regardless of whether or not you can see that he has a weapon, why do you think that somebody black, just because they're armed, are immediately out to shoot police? When the data shows, let the data reflect, the data shows that police and law enforcement officers are more likely to be killed by white men. But see, the microphone got disgusted with the whole situation. But you understand where I'm going with this, right? And it was interesting to me that you heard, well, I guess this was yesterday, but Paul Wagner, or 2 days ago, Paul Wagner said that Antoine Gilmore's family could not be located. Well, guys, you know who was able to locate Antoine Gilmore's family? No one other else than Chuck Modiano, friend of the show, justice journalist. Chuck Modiano was good in these streets. And if Channel 4 couldn't find Antoine Gilmore's family, Chuck Modiano absolutely did. So Tunde, can we take a look at the compilation of videos? Guys, they were already in the streets last night for Antoine Gilmore. Shout out to DMV Black Lives in the city. Shout out to Shut Down DC. Shout out to Good Trouble Co-op. They had the folks already out. And of course, Chuck Modiano was on the scene, and he had the opportunity to speak with members of Antoine Gilmore's family. Let's take a look at that.
Antoine Gilmore, from his family, from his community, that are taking so many people from us. Are we going to just stand by and let it happen? Are we going to fight this racist police today? Or do we got to say his name? Say his name. Say his name.
Say lost for words. We're lost for words. We're going to keep his memory alive, his name alive. We want accountability. We want them to be held accountable. We're going to keep our foot on their neck. We're not letting up. My cousin's life meant something. He meant something. They didn't even know if he had any medical distress or any medical history. The only ambulance you seen was in the camera back there. When the young lady was recording, when she actually said, let me go back around, she had a gut feeling, let me go back around because she felt something. And just from her response, my cousin was asleep in the car. They were playing chicken hide and go seek. They were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. They had their eyes on my cousin. They wanted my cousin for what? I don't know. He was a good man. But at the end of the day, you're going to be held accountable. His life meant something, and 10 shots was not right. 10 shots with the man who didn't threaten you at all. And if your body cam, the officer didn't say not one time his hands was on the gun. The officer said, let me get more light so I can see his hands. Oh, he's waking up, he's waking up. Not one time did he say he pointed the gun or his hands was on the gun. So no, our feet are on your neck and we're not letting up, and justice will be served for Antoine Gilmore, AKA Model Baby, AKA Juvie. Love you, cuz.
Run the police, man. We can protect ourselves, man. They just killed a sleeping man. Fuck out of here.
Of course, outstanding journalism right there by Chuck Modiano, justice journalist here in DC. Guys, follow Chuck Modi if you haven't not already on the good social medias, because especially when it comes to actions in DC, Chuck is always down there. And I like the fact that, Chuck is trusted. People will actually come talk to Chuck and speak freely and frankly and speak without reservation. So that's the scenes that are happening in DC as a result of now DC police killing somebody. And again, y'all, in this area, this is the second time within a relatively, short amount of weeks here where a Black man who was armed was shot down by cops. And there's not any clear evidence that these men were trying to aim their weapons at police. Ryan LaRue, listen, I hate it. But okay, for reasons I don't understand, like trolls, racist trolls on this here platform search victims of violence, of police violence names and just shit post under videos, right? And I've gotten a lot of that under the video where Ryan LaRue's name is in the headline, right? They all say, oh, well, he raised his gun where? I watched the body cam video, the police video. What I saw was Ryan, he was reclined in his chair and he raised his chair up and they fired dozens of shots at him, right? This young man, Antoine Gilmore, again, when they approached him, he was asleep. He was asleep. Excuse me. me, has anybody ever been startled awake before? Have you ever been startled awake while in the driver's seat of your vehicle? Yes, I have. Have you ever been startled awake by police in the driver's seat of your vehicle? Yes. Now, the situation where the police startled me awake, there was an accident on the BW Parkway, and I was on the BW Parkway, and it had been shut down for a long time. And I put the joint in park, and I fell asleep. And then the cop came and, tapped on the joint. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? But him, can you imagine? He is asleep for reasons I don't know. I don't know why he was asleep, but he was not in a state of mind to be able to register exactly what was going on around him in that exact moment. And the bottom line is, I don't know if police either think that Negroes are like superhuman, we some sort of X-Men, like immediately from rousing from being asleep, you can immediately deduce that there are a half a dozen police around you and that they want your attention. You know what I'm saying? You just see people and lights flashing. I'm sure his first instinct was to get away. And he didn't even get an opportunity to mash out like that because they opened fire on him. Y'all, I think I counted like 5 seconds. They didn't even give him a chance to respond, to do anything. And is there going to be consequences for this cop? I don't know. Who can really say? Because you hear the excuses already being trotted out. Oh, well, he had a gun. The gun was unregistered. He did not have a permit to carry the gun, and that he had an outstanding warrant for, I think, a shooting, or what did they say, assault with a deadly weapon like that from October. Okay. First of all, perfect example of how the police ain't shit and don't deserve the money that they get, because if he had an outstanding warrant from October and showed it, that's 10 months ago. Fuck y'all been doing? Y'all had plenty of time to catch up with him. Clearly, he was still hanging around in the city. If y'all was doing y'all job, this young man would not be dead. He would be having his day in court facing the charges against him, right? But all of this was unbeknownst to the police when they approached him. And you know what? Fuck whoever called the police on him in the first place, because in the package indicated that police received a 911 call from an alert passerby, right? I think that was actually the verbiage, that a man was asleep behind the wheel of his car. Well, if he wasn't moving, if I'm going to see him, I'm trying to think what I would do in that situation, but I can tell you exactly what I would not do in that situation. And call the police is not even on the list of potential things that I would do if I saw someone asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning at that intersection, at that point in time, not very busy. New York Avenue, Florida Avenue. It's a popular intersection, but trust me, I have traversed New York Avenue in and out of the city at that exact hour. And on that day of the week, today is the Friday. This would be Wednesday night or Thursday night. Come on, dog. No. One reason to call the police on that man. And public service announcement, please do not call the police on Black people all willy-nilly, especially if nobody's life is immediately in danger. Just tell your friend to tell a friend. Circulate that throughout your community, please, because no, this is what happens. Black people can literally be doing the absolute least, or even doing literally nothing at all, just existing. And the audacity of Antoine and the audacity of Ryan to think that they could possess handguns in this country and just be allowed to have the guns, right? And I don't understand why, right, in some of these stories and how the news is able to frame and report these kinds of stories, why, when they're talking out of one side of their neck, talking about the rise in gun violence and how, violent crime is on the rise, these young men are strapped up for a reason, okay? I don't believe Antoine, the charge he was wanted for was not pertaining to robbery, right? And again, whatever the fuck he was charged with or had an arrest warrant out for his arrest, he has not had his day in court. I don't know if them shit is true or not. Just because somebody is charged with something absolutely does not make them guilty of that crime. That is the whole point of having this farcical criminal and justice system, is it not? So people can answer to the charges of which they are facing. But just because of him being charged is enough to taint him in the minds of law enforcement and in the minds of the general public at large, except if you're not thinking critically and just assume that just because this young man was carrying and had an outstanding warrant that he was guilty of something. How about he's out here trying to survive? Okay, because let me explain to y'all, as I'm sure is the case in cities near you, the shit is real out here. Okay, they have resumed shooting out here, y'all. And so I don't knock Antoine Gilmore or Ryan LaRue for carrying a handgun on their person, because people is hungry out here, bro. And if my kid's hungry, snatch the dishes out your kitchen, you feel me? And be wild until they pick me out of lineup. Shorty, Freeway laid it out. The whole reason for people to carry guns, Shorty, is that first verse of What We Do, Freeway. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to remember how the verse goes, and I was thinking about spitting it, but maybe this is not the time to do that. But I know that, number one, I believe Antoine's cousin there, who Chuck Modiano interviewed, I believe that the family is going to remain on the neck of the DC police. But again, this kind of shit is standard operating procedure. This is shit that DC police budget for, because the family, the latest news about this is that the family has announced that they intend to sue the city. Sue the motherfuckers immediately. Sue them for a lot of money. Sue them for a shit ton of money. But this is already in the budget, right? The DC police ain't sweating this at all. Even if they do get a very large multi-million-dollar settlement, that has already been budgeted for, honey. Right. And this is all the reason why we need to defund the police, because they should not have a war chest just set aside for officers to execute people. Right. This is their this is their execution fund that they get for killing people, because as you can imagine, this officer is on administrative duty. He is still very much receiving his salary and benefits, and is not under any obligation to issue a statement to the police in connection with this investigation. Why? Because that's part of the, and I know the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, every city has one. I don't know the particulars of Washington's to be specific. I know Maryland, our state legislator, has, issued some reforms that I believe go into effect this fall. But that LEO Bill of Rights, I'm sure DC police or union got a tight one for sure. And I don't really expect a comprehensive investigation, because, they just look at this as a cost of doing business, right? They don't care if they shoot and kill a young black man. And the fact that he was armed is just that justification, right? And that's exactly the kind of shit that the racists seem to seize upon, right? Oh, we had a gun. He had an illegal gun. Motherfucker, do you know how many white men in rural America or even suburban America have lots and lots of guns? Some may or may not be registered, if at all, right? So spare me this shit. Basically, what you're telling me is that black people do not have a Second Amendment right to carry. Like, we have to adhere to all the regulations. And again, that's also some racist, city versus country shit also, because I just know my people is from the country, right? Guns is very normal. For people to have guns in their car, rifles in their car, shotguns in their car, normal as fuck. And a less scurry ass police may not have reacted in such a hyper elevated way. What the fuck was y'all approaching him with gun shields for, man? Knock on his window. Excuse me, sir. Are you all right? Okay. You saw the gun. Does that mean necessarily you have to act on the gun? Like, if the young man is not even indicating that he has any intent of harming the police or reaching for the gun, like, why are y'all so scary? Why weren't y'all this fucking scary when Floyd Roseberry threatened to blow up his shit? Like, y'all didn't approach his shit with guns and ballistic missile and ballistic shields, pardon me. And same thing with the dude we saw in Portland who was just letting off on the street, right? Subdued his ass, normal as fuck. They drew down on him and they told him to get down. And what did he do? He got down. He put the shit down and got down. And I have no idea why they think that Ryan LaRue or Antoine Gilmore would have reacted any differently, right? These young black men know what the stakes are when it comes to police. At least I hope they know. and not just young black men, young black people, period. But our young boys, our young men out here, absolutely. The police are scary as shit. And I mean, when I say, y'all understand, see, this is the negritude here, right? Y'all understand when I say that they scary, not that we are afraid of the police, even though in some instances, yes, but in some instances, no. But y'all scary asses, like they are scared. They are afraid. They operate from a position of fear. Everything in their movements indicates that they are terrified, right? If you this scared, this is not the job for you, man. This is allegedly for heroes. You know what I'm saying? This is why they police and not firefighters. You want to see a hero? Go look at your local fire department, your volunteer fire department. You want to see some courageous dudes out here? That's them. It is not the cops. I assure you. Woo!